Good evening. We'll bring this meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mayor Grunder,
Here.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Bloodsworth,
Here.
Commissioner Howell,
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
And we'll have our invocation by Commissioner Bloodsworth this evening, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you for this day. Lord, and I just thank you for this first day of fall. Lord, as we move forward in this year, Lord, I just ask that you guide us through this time and help us through with High Springs, Father, in praising that we're here. Lord, I want to uplift some things as past, but through this past week or two is recognition of 9/11, Lord, for all the first responders, Lord, their families that's been dealing with things throughout all these years. The loss of loved ones that people have dealt with, Father. But then again, let's not forget about all the blessings that we all receive, that we live in this great country, Father. Lord, so just guide us tonight to do your work and do the work of the citizens of High Springs. For it is in Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one amendment to the agenda of re-adding on the proclamation that we had last week for the Constitution Week.
I make a motion that we approve the amended agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And we'll entertain a motion for approval of consent agenda.
I
Mr.
make-
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And for special presentations, first up, we have the presentation of the High Springs Hero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has quickly become one of my favorite things, I think. Tonight, we are recognizing a local hero who sits on this dais, sir. Commissioner Howell, your lovely bride put together a little bio about you, and I asked if she would like to present it, and she said, no, thank you, it was too scary. But just to tell you a little bit about Commissioner Howell's service. Chad's journey of service began long before his time in law enforcement. In May of 2001, he answered the call to serve our nation by joining the United States Marine Corps. Over the next 5 years, he deployed to Okinawa, Japan, and completed 2 tours in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. Those years shaped not only his sense of duty, but also his unshakable resolve to protect and serve others. After completing his military service in 2006, he transitioned into civilian life, and in 2010, he moved to Alachua County. Just a few years later, in February of 2013, he joined Alachua Police Department, and for the past 15 years, he has served with distinction and passion. Throughout his career with APD, he has worn many hats: patrol officer, school resource officer, field training officer, detective, and now as a detective sergeant supervising the Criminal Investigations Division. In each of these roles, he has brought a level of dedication and professionalism that elevates those around him. In 2016, while balancing his growing career and family life, he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Administration with a focus on management from St. Leo University. Yet another testament to his commitment to growth and excellence. His contributions extend far beyond the badge. After relocating with his family to High Springs in October 2018, he became deeply involved in the community. He served on the High Springs Parks and Rec Board and currently serves on the board of the Law Enforcement Family Memorial Crisis Fund. He donates countless hours to local causes, building custom cornhole boards and organizing tournaments to raise funds for charities across the county. In 2022, his impact was recognized when he received the Officer of the Year Award from the Alachua Chamber of Commerce. And yet, even with such accolades, he remains grounded as a devoted husband of over 23 years and a proud father of 2 incredible daughters who have grown up attending High Springs Community School and Santa Fe High School. Through every chapter of his life, whether in service overseas, on patrol, in the classroom, or leading investigations, he carries himself with honor, compassion, and an unwavering drive to serve others. Those who know Chad best describe him as a passionate, proud, thoughtful, patient, dedicated, supportive, charismatic, and most lovingly, the big guy. If you ask his wife, she will simply say, he is selfless, loving, compassionate, and deserving of all the things in this world. Thank you, Commissioner Howell.
Please come to the middle, Chad. Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Can we get a picture? You got to be in the middle. Vice Mayor should be over here. And Wayne and I can be on the bookends. We'll be the bookends.
We'll make it work.
Okay. Wait, no, you. I'm good. No, you're not.
I'm good. Let you hide me.
No, I don't want to hide you.
I gotta hydrate. My wife tells me I doesn't drink enough water.
Nobody does.
Appreciate it.
Your wife did a great job.
Thank you, Kevin. All right. Moving on to special presentation number 2. Last week, I made a mistake, so I'd like to call up Miss Carol Shoup. I made a mistake. I read the proclamation. I didn't look up, and I didn't know you were here. So I hope you accept my public apology now. I know you've already accepted my private one, but I really appreciate your understanding and willingness to come back.
Thank you.
Whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, Tristan Grunder, Mayor of the City of High Springs, to hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals which the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that the lost rights may never be regained. Thank you, Ms. Shoup, for coming, and I know you're with the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Can we get a picture, please, Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely.
And as she,
Come down forward. Would you like to step up here, ma'am? You in the front? Would y'all come down, please? Here from different angles. Good side. I would love to read it.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for recognizing the importance of Constitution Week on behalf of the Gainesville Chapter Daughters of the American Revolution. Our society was founded in 1890 and our chapter 103 years ago to promote historic preservation, education, and patriotism in our communities and across the United States. It is a nonprofit, non-political, volunteer women's organization and consists of nearly 190,000 members in approximately 3,000 chapters across the world. Constitution Week is a great time to celebrate the freedoms the Constitution gave us. Without it, we would not be celebrating 250 years of these United States. Thank you again for the certificate that you've presented to us today and for giving us this opportunity to promote Constitution Day and pay tribute to the Constitution of the United States.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shu.
Thank you so
for
much.
coming. Okay, we will move on to budget item 1. Discuss, consider, and act on resolution 2025-L.
Mr. Mayor, this is Resolution 2025-L, a resolution of the City of High Springs, Florida, determining the amount of and fixing the final rate of ad valorem taxation for fiscal year 2025 to 2026, and providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
Mr. Mayor, we do not have a presentation, but I do need to read the quick obligatory millage rate. This is for the City of High Springs. The millage rate is 6.99. The rollback rate is 6.3438, which is a 10.19% difference. Thank you.
Do we have any commissioner comments?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I know we've all discussed this and we know we have to make the budget work, but I just want to reiterate that I'm sure for none of us this comes easily. Raising property taxes by 10% is a difficult pill to swallow. And hopefully, we were able to bring it back last year. Hopefully we'll be able to bring it down again next year, but I think with this budget process, it's been more transparent than it ever has been since I've been up here, and we've got a lot of things we need to fix, and this is unfortunately one of the things we're going to have to do.
Any other commissioner comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2025-J.
Second.
I'm sorry, it's J on this sheet. I'm sorry, 2025-L.
You still wish to second?
Yep, second, and we don't have a choice.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments? Roll call vote, please.
Grandeur?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Bloodsworth?
Yes.
Commissioner Howell?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Moving on to budget item 2, discuss, consider, and act on ordinance 2025-05.
Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance number 2025-5, an ordinance adopting the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget of the City of High Springs, Florida, providing an effective date.
Second reading on the ordinance, and we do not have a presentation.
Any commissioner comments?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to go on record saying that I am not happy with this budget this year, and I know we need to do more for the citizens of High Springs. It is very difficult at this point, looking at these numbers, knowing that we need to do more. So,
I agree. I completely agree.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, may I share something that's been on my heart, and I have some prepared comments I'd like to make. I was going to wait and hold them to the end,
No, go ahead.
but I think this is a prime time because I feel you. It's been hard. This ain't easy for none of us, so, Angela, will you mind giving this to Kevin, please? Put that on the screen and share that, please. I'll hand this out to y'all while Kevin's getting that. Jeremy didn't have a copy, so he can have mine. Now, I was going to wait, and I had this written down here since I was going to say now that the budget's passed, but we're at that point now. We don't really have a choice to do anything at this point but move forward. I'm like Chad. I feel like we could have done better. I'm sure y'all feel the same way. I've had a hard time dealing with this. I believe we've put too much on the citizens' back by raising utilities, the millage rates, the fire assessment to deal with a $723,000 deficit. We gave our employees a 3% COLA raise, much needed. They needed it. We needed to retain our employees. And due to the things that was mentioned back in the past few meetings, people contacted me about this budget and things that went on with the fire department comments. We all know what we had to deal with all that. So I spent time contacting people. I spent time with Diane and the staff here, and I thank y'all for answering my questions because I know y'all probably tired of seeing me show up here every day. But I've talked to people that's in the fire industry and concerning the fire department right now because people call me and say, what's going on? Why are we dealing with this? So I started calling research, and I just want to give everybody what I have found. And I'm not a fireman, so take it as that. It's just research that I have done. I've shared this with Jeremy, things that I was looking into. But as y'all can see, we raised our sewer to $24.25. And anything I'm going to share here tonight is just suggestions, and I'm going to ask questions. What can we do? As you see all that information on page 1 there, we got our deficit taken care of, and we only got 2 checks on the box. Now, as going through this and talking with Jeremy, it's a marathon, as he has explained to me. But it seems like, as Chad has the same feelings, and I'm probably some of y'all, we wish we could have a short run at it. I want to move on to the next page, if you would, please, Kevin. Now, some of the questions was brought up in some of the scenarios where we do away with the fire department. We don't want to do that. None of us wants to. But I got some information if we went down to 4 firefighters and could lower our sewer down to $22.50 to make it easier on our citizens. You see the transfers would reduce an amount of money that we could save in the reserve. Am I speaking that correctly, Diane? $268,910? I'm not saying that's what we can do, but can we operate this way? Can we do this to not be such a burden on our citizens? I just hate putting this on the citizens so much. Please go to page 3 if you guys would take a look at that. As you can see in this graph, what's happened to our police and fire budget during this time. Looking at the fire department, at 2017 to now, it's gone up $1.5 million. And in 21-22, apparently, more firefighters were hired, and the purchase of the heavy rescue and the boat were part of that increase. With the sale of those 2 items, that has helped save us a tremendous amount of expense. Papers got shuffled here. I'm just wanting to know why such drastic change in the revenue and the increase in spending. In this budget, we're allocating right at $200,000 for overtime alone. And if you'll refer to page 4, you can see some other things there. I'm just wondering why our overtime has jumped so high during that time? Is it due to hiring more firefighters and other things? I don't know. I would like to know where we're at with that and why is that way. Apparently we have Kelly days. I'd like to know, is that necessary to have Kelly days in a operation the size of High Springs? Because when somebody earns a Kelly day and they take that Kelly day, we got to pay overtime to cover that shift. Can we afford that at this rate? I don't know. I'm asking questions. I feel like we have to look for something to change some way, somehow, and not keep doing as we're doing here.
So, no offense to anybody that's sitting on the board, but the motion that I originally made took care of all of this.
I know.
We decided not to go with the motion.
I know, but I've had time to look and ask questions and try to research some things.
And I think a lot of people voted against that motion or didn't second and go forward with it due to some of the information that was out at that time.
Yeah, I mean, we even addressed the fact that our fire department is overstaffed that night. Compared to all the other fire departments around, they operate with 4 overnight. That was addressed in the meeting that night. But, I mean, the decision was made, but it was addressed in the meeting that night.
I know, and if you'll recall, I made the motion to accept scenario 1, and we voted and passed it. I've wondered have I made the right decision here? Because we're raising 3 things on our citizens, and have we shown any cuts other than our paycheck? I know it was said that with having firefighters, that's how we are. But according to our code or our contract with Lottery County Fire and Rescue, we only have to provide 4. Now, with that graph that you see there, or go back to the page 3, please. Now, I'm not saying anything against firefighters or police department. I want that to be known right here and now. But can we handle this, guys, folks? Like I was saying, that the county requires us to have 4 firefighters per Article 3, Section C10. If we keep our 5 firefighters and not get rid of anybody, are we working our guys out of class? I'm not asking to put you on the spot right here. I want you to get me some answers. I don't want them tonight. I want to give you time. Because if through this process, we got to listen to a 15-minute or 30-minute presentation, and then we got to make a vote on it. Now, I know we've had workshops and all, but when you get to thinking about all this, it hits your heart. Also, our equipment was discussed in my research. And I'm wondering if we have too much equipment. And the reason why I'm saying, because per contract, per the county contract, we're supposed to have an engine, a tanker, a brush or squad truck, if all this information is correct for me. I've spent a lot of time doing this, so I'm hoping that the information I'm passing on to y'all is correct. If it's not, I want it done right so if I can correct myself. But we currently have an engine, a brush truck, a squad truck, and a newly purchased light-duty truck, guys. We also have a tanker truck that Chief Peters has briefly stated that it soon's going to have to be replaced, and that's going to be on our backs to have to replace. With that being said, we have a medium rescue truck that will be delivered soon that we purchased earlier in this year and under the assumption that we needed it. My sources have advised me that we don't need that medium rescue truck. especially since Station 21 is in operation. I supported and voted to purchase this truck. However, the new information that my sources have provided me, I'm asking, do we honestly need this truck? Could we try to sell this truck before it is used and put the money towards a pumper tanker? I have learned to figure out and find out what a pumper tanker is. Would that be a better choice for our department? I understand it can be used as a backup for our engine if it goes down. And it will replace our tanker, so it is a multi-use truck. Is that an option? Will that work for us? Would that update our fleet to vehicles that are better suited for the needs without compromising our services? And some other things that, as we all know, that went down with at Lottery County and the contract situation, it was gut-wrenching. I think our department's been relying on that money from Lottery County Fire and Rescue too much. It's never the same. It's never a set amount. It changes every year, seems like. Instead, I suggest putting that in reserve to go towards purchase equipment in the future. Also, we need to make sure we keep a good working relationship with Lottery County Fire and Rescue. I was not aware of something called in-kind services. Are y'all aware of in-kind services? I wasn't. They provide us with medical supplies and radios free of charge. If they didn't, could we afford that, guys? Could we afford to replace that at this time and date? So, I'm asking questions. That's all I'm doing. I'm not down on the fire department and police department. It's nothing personal. I also noticed during the budget that even our police budget's gone up $1.5 million. And I know inflation and cost of everything is something else, but it was mentioned also about doing away with the night shift. I'm not in favor of that, but can we reduce it? Can we help this and show that we're trying to do something to cut these costs? I mean, that could save us $75,000 to $80,000 just in that alone. And then Chief Shepherd, I'd like to know about the lease vehicles. We're budgeting $276,000 on lease vehicles. We eliminated lease vehicles with the fire department and other city departments. Why didn't we look at police? Why aren't we doing that now? Is that something we can do? Will it work? I don't know. I'm not a police officer. I'm not a fireman. I want you two guys, if y'all can sit back down with Mr. Marshall and see if we can't come up with some cost-cutting measures. I don't want to cost anybody a job. I really don't. But how can we move forward with this? I don't know what to do. It's been bothering me. This is not easy. I'm sure you guys have been struggling with it as well.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, do we use volunteers and part-times in the police department? I know the fire department uses it. And something else I'd like to ask with that in mind, is that saving us any money on overtime? As a non-fireman, I think it's a good idea to have volunteers or part-timers, but do we provide them bunker gear to each one of those individuals? That's $4,000 to $6,000 per person. Is it cost? Should we do that? I don't know. What can we do to reduce that? Should we get rid of part-timers and volunteers and save the $4,000, $6,000? Something we need to show our citizens that we're doing something besides just writing a check. Chief Shepherd, Chief Peters, I have the most respect for you guys and your people. Y'all have helped me personally and my family. And I could never say enough to thank you for it. But the numbers speak for themselves. Too much money is being transferred out of the general fund to cover these two departments. Poor old Jason over here, he can't even hire nobody. Can't get good equipment because we're taking money, as you all saw, in the from his department into the general fund. I've talked to his guys. They need equipment, folks. I'm telling you. We can't keep going this way or we're going to take more money from the general fund, and they can't do. What can we afford a hurricane right now and our sewer system goes down? Can we manage that? I'm going to tell you, I got upset the other day in Winn-Dixie. And I'm sorry, I'm choked up about this. 2 days after we voted on the first and accepting scenario 1 that I mentioned, motioned, and voted for, there was a fireman in Winn-Dixie talking to a past employee asking about the budget. And he said, we kicked the can down the road, guys. Pissed me off. I voted to raise cost on our citizens and gave that, and we all gave a raise because they needed it. His job was saved. We could have cut the fire department completely. Why is he griping? And then I got to thinking, he's right. We didn't do anything except raise the cost on our citizens. My mother-in-law is fixed income, along with several other people. How are they going to survive? Is our ladies down in the tag office, are they trained to deal with people coming in there crying and upset because they can't pay their water bill? Because they may not be able to get groceries? I'm sorry, I don't mean to choke up, but it's been on my heart. And this one right here said something to me last meeting. He felt the same way, didn't you, Chad? So I don't know what we can do, but I'd like for you gentlemen to get together and see if you can't bring us something back in October. Not the first meeting. I want you to have a whole month to see what we can do to help solve this. And I want you people to know again, it's not personal. That same individual made a comment in public in Lotchaway the other day and said we don't have a heart for City of High Springs up here. That's unbecoming of a fireman, in my opinion. And that really made me mad. So if the citizens feel like that, and I got an email from one stating that I ran to be a fiscal responsibility and make common sense decisions. He reminded me of that in that email, and that hit me hard too. I don't think I've done that right. So I don't know what we can do. But while it's fresh on our minds, folks, if not, we're going to be dealing with this same thing again, July and August. And what are we going to do then? At least, if we keep it going and thinking about it, maybe we can work at this. And if you go to page 4 before I get off of this, you can see the overtime. And that's what I'm asking. Why is that the way it is? Is it because we added the extra firemen? Was that approved by the City Commission back then? I don't know. Are we supposed to deal with that? So anything they bring back that's positive, I ask that y'all support their recommendations, and let's see if we can't amend this budget after it's approved tonight. I apologize for taking up too much time, but I had to say it, folks.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Commissioner Bloodsworth, I appreciate all this time. Diane, I'm sure you spent a lot of time with these numbers, and these graphs are very telling. I was taking some notes, and I have one question. Who's Kelly, and why does she get a day? Can you explain to me what that means, please? Can anybody tell me what Kelly days are?
Essentially an additional day off. Every 9 weeks, they get an additional day off. And to answer your question, yes, they can definitely be taken care of. We've actually kicked that around a couple times. So
every 9 weeks, every full-time employee gets an extra day off.
correct.
And how much PTO do they get off every full-time employee just throughout the year?
It depends on how many years they've been in
Okay,
force.
so that's a sliding scale.
That's a sliding
depends
scale,
on-
and
okay.
it's based on what the city does. Everybody gets the same amount of accrual.
Does-
Our
does-
firefighters don't get different accruals.
Does everybody get a Kelly Day? Kelly Days?
No, ma'am. Just the
Only
fire
for
department.
firefighters.
It's only for fire, so that's
Only
just a
for fire.
firefighter-specific thing.
Yeah, and
Um,
just for clarification, yes, fire does not accrue at a higher rate, but the commission, a while back, I forget what year it was, they approved a resolution where the firefighters, when they take a 24-hour shift off, they're only docked 16 hours of PTO. We pay them for 24, they're docked 16.
So we're,
That was a.
I don't
long-
get
was
any
that a long,
paid time
long
off, so
ago?
that's a pretty good deal. So you take it, but I mean firefighters.
They work more hours
To
a
be
year
fair,
than the
they
average
they
employee.
work 24-hour shifts, so I get
Correct.
that.
Right.
So sliding over to police, if they work 12-hour shifts, if they take a 12-hour shift off,
It's
they're
12
not
hours.
only docked 6 hours, they're docked 12 hours.
hours, correct.
So it's really not, we're not looking at apples and apples, and I don't understand enough about why. And I'm not trying to drill into anybody specifically, but the overtime that Commissioner Bloodsworth mentioned here, I noticed it's gone up quite a bit for fire, and I thought that hiring the part-timers was going to help alleviate that. So to Commissioner Bloodsworth's, last year we budgeted $125,000, and it's looking like we're projecting $189, so now we're budgeting for $200,000 for overtime pay. It's almost $250,000 just for overtime. That's a lot. So I don't understand how the fire department works, just like Commissioner Bloodsworth. I'm not a firefighter. But I had some questions as well about the police department, and I talked to Mr. Marshall about it, and I know that he's talked to Chief about it some, but I can say at least with this graph that Commissioner Bloodsworth had put together here, Chief Shepard is doing a pretty good job on tightening the screws on overtime. Your overtime numbers are going down, so clearly you're taking a look at that pretty clearly. But in terms of the jump, fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23 for, the pay, this goes up pretty exponentially here. Why are we seeing so much increase in salaries just in the last 4 years? It looks like it's gone up quite a bit more. I mean, fiscal year 17, police had $700,000, so now here we are 8 years later, and we're at 1.3 million.
So I got a good answer for that for you. I'm glad you asked that question. You got two elements that that drives that. We had Governor DeSantis that come here and actually do something very positive. He lift law enforcement salaries. So you saw Florida Highway Patrol and other agencies elevate. He did that to state agencies. And so then you saw local police could not retain and recruit. And so policing started to somewhat be paid some compatible salaries. So you're seeing the result of that on the first perspective. The second thing you see in government, which I feel like we're probably going to do it again because this is how government does. We come up and elevate in terms of what salaries need to be, and we don't do anything else. And we let inflation and everything catch us. And then we're 5, 6, 7 years, and then we say, oh, we're not paying people. Well, whoops. You're going to have to elevate those salaries. It's because government does not do what it needs to do. It needs to raise those salaries. So hopefully that answers that question.
Chief, I'd piggybacking on what Commissioner Bloodsworth said, I did have some questions because I don't understand it in terms of operational costs. Salaries aside, I don't know how many full-time officers we employ. 20?
20.
20? So we've got 20 full-time officers. How many vehicles do we have?
So we have 20 vehicles for each full-time officer. We have about 5 spare vehicles. Those vehicles cover, you need to have a spare, and we do have a reserve program, and it's for our reserve officers. So we keep just enough vehicles to be able to provide a vehicle for each person and the spare cars just in case vehicles go down.
So are we required to have one vehicle per officer by state statute?
By contract, if you look in your contract, Article 20 specifies about, and it's a contract that's been in place since 2014. So it specifies that if the officer lives within a certain mileage, that we provide them a take-home vehicle. That's something that is kind of compatible with other agencies and to standardize our language is there. It is there for a number of reasons. For one, it's for operational readiness. When we have an emergency, we need our officers responding to our location, whether in a specialized unit as far as a detective. So operational readiness is one. Contractually, we have it there. Third is recruitment retention. So agencies are not going backwards. You see, again, University of Florida Police Department expanding their take-home cars so that they can keep recruitment and retention in place. And thirdly, I would say historically. Okay, I was here when those officers, I was one of them, where we shared cars. Maintenance went to the roof. Accountability went to the roof. So you have a vehicle that's now running 72 hours, 24 hours. No accountability on who did what to what vehicle, and we paid in the long run. So when you look at these safe causing initiatives, are you really saving? Are you really saving in retention and recruitment? Are you really saving in maintenance of those vehicles? Those are things that we've already been through in the past.
Okay.
I would like to say one other thing. I do want to thank Mr. Marshall and Chief Shepard. Chief Peters. You two guys came in here in a tough situation. I appreciate what y'all are doing. I appreciate the transparency that you provided here during the budget workshops and our meetings. I know it's been hard on everybody. I just don't know. I just hope we can find some solutions to show the citizens that we're trying to do better here. So that's all. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate the time.
Mayor, if I add on one more thing, very open to those conversations with the consent of the manager to sit down with any citizen, with any commissioner, to talk about our budgets, to talk about how we try to be good stewards of the money. You know, I sit here, I go to these conferences. Today I got a call from FDLE saying there's some residual money there. We just was awarded another $100,000 grant with some other instance for drones that we're going to pass on to the fire department. So I can't tell you that our agency, we work our butt off to try to allocate and find funds that are free. And so, you know, I'm open to those conversations with any person, any commissioner, to look at our budget to see how we can do some cost-saving things to see, you know, or maybe someone else can tell me something I'm doing, you know, not different. I'm open to those conversations to justify what we have.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Chief, the budget from last year to this year is going up about 13% for police. Is that because, I mean, it's not just a raise for officers, that's also FRS.
Correct.
And that is the kind of behind-the-scenes exorbitant cost that people don't really see.
Correct. We have no control over FRS. That was a huge increase. We propose no increase other than salaries. I think there's, when we looked at the figures and what was happening, we needed to expand our agency, to be honest with you. We needed a second person in CID. As our city continuously grow, we need to make those expansions. We probably won't be able to do any of those things because we had to sacrifice raises for our folks for recruitment retention. You know, we have next door that is grabbing our folks, and I don't blame them. We got good quality officers, so.
Chief, I had one other question, if I could, please. We've got interest on the leased vehicles. Is that, how many, we're paying $50,000 a year for interest on the leased vehicles. The only ones that are leased, correct me if I'm wrong, are the ones that are on the road running 12 hours at a time.
Correct. And my thing has been on lease cars that, I mean, we've talked about, I think a few years we had, I can't think of the company name, not Bancor, but another company, Enterprise, that came in and told us why.
I remember that.
What's the benefits of lease cars. My opinion on it is, I don't care whether you lease them, finance them, buy them. But what you have to do is you have to rotate those vehicles out appropriately. Mm-hmm. And I think in the long run, you're going to find you save no money. Because from a lease perspective, we are able to purchase those things, the technology, and government is, I wouldn't personally buy a lease car myself, But government can purchase those vehicles at a very low cost from state contracts, and then they can turn around and sell them. And the ones that we did sell, we make profit off of them with the chargers. So I don't have the money to lease, but government seems to be in that perspective. So like I say, I don't care whether you lease, finance, buy. I think you have to rotate them in appropriate measure. We cannot go backwards how we used to be back when I was here. When you're driving a car that's 15 years old, you don't know, the car next door to you is more equipped than yours, and you're writing citations for their equipment. And then you're putting engines in them because you can't pay for them. And the maintenance, if you notice in our budget, the maintenance have gone tremendously down.
Mm-hmm.
We were way over in the past on our maintenance, double the amount. So you're going to pay one way or another if you don't rotate those vehicles. I think our partners to the Alachua, they purchased theirs, but they purchased, I believe, 6 to 7 cars a year outright. I don't know that High Springs can afford it.
No.
I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know you can finance and leasing. We don't pay that. We're actually long term, and you can retain them and buy them. But I'm all good in for whatever you want to do. It's just that we can't. I don't believe you should be with vehicles that are 10 to 15 years old. And I know you and I will drive a car 10 to 15 years old, but a police car is in a very different mode of a 10 to 15-year-old car. Engines on all the time, so it's double. So that 10 to 15 might be actually 20 years old.
No, I understand what you're saying. I also would never lease, but for the guys that are on the road, they have their engine on the entire time they're on shift, so no, I get that. And then the debt service down here is for the ones I assume that we bought. We've got $275,000 a year that we're paying in debt service.
That's the
That's the actual lease.
Yes,
So the ones that we have purchased, were they purchased outright?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's good. Okay.
What we did on those was when we would have insurance recovery for a vehicle that was destroyed, like Soren's car during the hurricane, or like the chief said, when we turn vehicles back into Bangor at the end of the lease, they sell them. And if the amount they get is over the residual value of it, they give us that difference. So a couple of the checks were over $8,000 for those. So we've used that money together. We did need to get a replacement vehicle.
One other question I have for you, Chief. The Alachua County Dispatch Contract Services went up from $192,000 that we budgeted last year to $250,000. And it looks like we're projecting actual $252,954. Can you explain to me why that much of a jump?
I can try to get that information from you. I don't know if that was misbudgeted from previously. That is a huge jump
Yes.
from 192 to 250. I'm actually on that board. I can ask those questions.
Okay.
And I would say that I know you're aware of it. Dispatch for us through combined communication is much cheaper than us having our own dispatch.
And I'll take the credit for the 192 being way too low. At the time when we were budgeting, when I was budgeting for 25, is where the 192 is, we only had 3 quarters in billed. And I didn't realize that we only had 3 quarters in. That's why it was too low. We do see that the county contract does go up every year. I don't think we have any say in that. When that goes up, they go through their county commission. And they do a cost study, and I've seen it when I was in Gainesville. They do a cost study, and then they apply that increase that they need per their cost study. And there's not really, as far as I know, any negotiation that goes with it. So we're a little bit at their mercy.
No, and I remind us that we're a small user group, so we pay substantially lower than Gainesville Police Department, Alachua County, whatever. I want to think our calls are like $15 an hour, and $15 a call, or $18 or something like that. And other cities, bigger cities, probably pay double that amount.
So that's not a lump sum fee, that's a per call fee that we pay?
They do some type of calculation through service call, yes.
Okay. Some of these questions I got answered by Mr. Marshall before. Just something to point out that we have zero control over. For the sewer plant, our property and liability insurance went up from $23,000 to $65,000. Yes, we've doubled the capacity and we've expanded the footprint, but that's just a huge amount of money, a huge jump that we have no control over. Do you see any, Diane, you may be the best person to ask this, any horizon possible where insurance costs might go down? Is it Florida?
It's everywhere. I mean, Florida's worse because of the hurricanes, and so the entire state is more. But with the plant, I mean, that's a whole plant, and a lot of pieces and parts and value that we have to insure. So that one's, and I think, and this is where I hope I can do better, we can do better going forward now that we have a lot of things cleaned up that we didn't have before, is really do better planning for things like that. You know, we do a lot of planning on the construction side of it, but we don't prepare for getting it online.
Operations.
So
yeah.
I think, you know, that's a gap that, you know, hindsight, of course, but I think things like that, we really needed maybe probably to look at it 2 years earlier on really knowing what to expect.
And for the farmer's market, the SNAP reimbursement, we've had $6,000 and we've got zero this year, and people have asked me about that.
I can explain that.
Okay.
So we had an in and an out. So we were reimbursing the vendors for the SNAP, sending it to the state, getting reimbursed, and it was being booked as a revenue and expense, and it should have been not done that way. It should have been in the balance sheet. Long explanation, but it shouldn't have even been part of the budget process because it's a wash. So
Just pass through.
So we took it, we didn't do it that way this year, and so you won't see that going forward.
But we still take that at the farmer's market.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Mr. Marshall, on your budget here, I didn't see a line item for discretionary funds.
We didn't have enough.
Well,
Okay.
what will happen is
We're gonna take.
it'll roll.
It'll
So what
roll over.
happens is it rolls over. because
So
it's a
I think it's
separate
important to
bucket. Yep.
point out that the commission allocated the city manager discretionary funds to spend as needed for emergency purposes, and your balance is not zero.
Correct. Just so you know, we're spending 1/3 of it, $50,000. So an example of how that contingency fund really came out is we got the CBDG grant for stormwater of $700,000, and we never, as a city, when we wrote that grant, we never set money aside for the match. So now we got this grant, and you don't want to turn back a CBDG grant. So the match on it was 50,000. We didn't have 50,000, so I took 50. We'll be taking 50,000 out of that contingency. So that's an example of when something comes up that wasn't planned for. I have a way to take care of it.
Do you know what the rough balance is on that?
I would probably say I got 80,000, 90,000 left.
Okay. Okay. And then just to finish up, looking at Commissioner Bloodsworth's graphs here and, talking about the different options, obviously we've set the millage rate already. That's passed. There's nothing we can do to change that till next year. No problem. Understood. But we can, if we can cut costs over the next quarter, the next 6 months, we can amend the budget to reduce the amount of general fund transfers, right? So if Chief and Mr. Marshall, chiefs, and Mr. Marshall were able to identify some cost cutting with reducing the staffing to 4. I asked about that at the last meeting. If we could do that through attrition, we don't want to lay anybody off. We love our fire department. I saw them, by the way, today doing their baby seat checks, and they were doing a great job. But if we can make those kinds of changes through attrition, if staffing, that's an operational issue, that's not an us issue, but if we can make those kinds of staffing changes through attrition, that would allow us to save some money going to the residents, we could, as Commissioner Bloodsworth has here, decrease the increase of the wastewater monthly fee to the people in the middle of the year. We can do that. I would love to be able to do that. So, thank you, Commissioner Bloodsworth, for this. Thank you, sir.
Any other commissioner comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-05.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments?
My name is Amy Grunder, and I am not only the wife of Tristan Grunder, but I am also a citizen, so I know that I can be biased in certain ways, but I also pay taxes and work and have a job, and I think it's very easy for people to get up here and speak, and I think the last time that I got up here and spoke was about golf carts, and I was told that, I should not be doing that anymore, so I've been very quiet, but I do want you to know, Commissioner Bloodsworth, that as a citizen, I hear you and I appreciate you very much for your honesty. If it's just me and nobody else that heard that, I want you to know that I did hear it. Because I do deal with this at home, not only as a citizen, but as a wife, because you five are shouldering the decisions of this entire city. And I don't think people realize how tough of a job that is. Commissioner Miller, you did make that motion, and it was not the popular motion. It was the hard motion because it would have meant laying people off. But you did that because you knew it was the right thing to maybe put forward in a really, really tough discussion. And I want you guys to know that people can get up here and say that you are putting emotion out there and that's inappropriate, but your emotions are valid, and we need to see that you do care, because you're making these decisions and you're seeing this and talking about it for the first time when you are at these meetings. You guys are not allowed to speak to each other on these issues. So it's not just here and you're hearing the information. You do have to go home and process that information. You have to think about these things. You have to hear it from the citizens, from your spouses, from everybody, every angle, and it's hard. And I want you to know, Commissioner Bloodsworth, that this was a very difficult decision. It was a very difficult thing for you to have to come back up here and say, I'm sorry, but I've thought about it and I don't know if it's right. And I don't know if it's right. I don't know what to say. I just want you to know that you're not the only one that feels like that, on the commission. And I want you to know that you were heard. And I appreciate it as a citizen and as a wife of a commissioner. It was a heavy thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Lynch. Since we're talking about money, I think that my remarks will be appropriate. 188th Avenue runs in front of the post office. It's 15 blocks long, and you recently repaved 2 blocks of it. I live a half a block off the part that you repaved, so I was aware of the paving process the entire time that it was taking place. But I couldn't see too much difference in the 2 blocks that you paved and the 13 blocks that you didn't pave. And I imagine that probably cost about $100,000. There are ways of patching an asphalt road. There's a machine you can use to put asphalt down in the cracks. So I just want to let you know that I couldn't see too much difference between the part that you paved and the part that you didn't pave. And that was one of our old concrete streets. It had been paved over with asphalt. The paving company dug up the concrete slabs. And I could see that those concrete slabs were 8 or 10 inches thick. So our city fathers, 80 years ago, 90 years ago, when they put down those concrete streets, they didn't do it on the cheap. They paid money for that. It was expensive, and they meant for it to last. So we should have respect for our concrete streets, the ones that we still have left. I beg the city manager and the commissioner not to pave over those streets. Moving on to High Springs Brewing.
Mr. Lynch, this is for the stuff for the discuss, consider, and act on ordinance 2025-05. That would be under citizen comments, sir. That'll be coming up next.
Good afternoon. My name is George Tatum. I'm going to wear a couple different hats on this one. Mr. Budsworth, as everybody already knows, we know each other very well. We both have a lot of the same emotions. I have a different investment in this because of my dual role as a father and as a volunteer. So the first thing I'm going to address is my personal. The Kelly days with my prior department, we call those mental health days. We don't do anything necessarily more so than what the police department does, but in the same sense, as you gentlemen know, days come in, I call them mental health days because you have to take and debrief away from a lot of different things. That's where I'll leave that at. Second thing, talking about budgeting and stuff like that. Everything since I've started getting involved in this process has been fire department, police department, fire department, police department. I think there needs to be a broader, the blinders need to come off. One thing that I see on a weekly basis that just aggravates me is why we have 2 people every single week, 4-5 hours, maintaining live plants down our main street. What is that costing the citizens? What is it costing for the plants? What is it costing for those 2 personnel to do that? The water that they're using and things of that nature, the equipment that they're sitting out there on the side of the street with, now I'm going to a safety aspect, with no marking to protect themselves from what they're doing. But what kind of budget are we using for that? Where are other areas that we can come up with, in my eyes, silly spending that needs to go down the road? You guys were talking about monies for the farmers market, I believe. Did we not just lose that money because processes weren't followed or applications or stuff like that? Again, I've been out of town, but something that came across was that we just lost that funding because processes were not followed. If I'm wrong on that and that's been changed, maybe that information needs to be put out there because everyone is seeing that we lost this money because people weren't, for lack of a better term, doing their job. What other city offerings can we provide? We just had the Fall Festival. I wish it was bigger. I wish we had more. Are we charging those individuals? Why can't we do something like that quarterly to bring in more funds? You know, art festivals to where we could fill up this plaza every single time. People are going to Micanopy, they're going to Ocala, they're going to the villages. They're doing that every single Saturday in the villages where they're bringing in tons of revenue. And then the last thing, if I can real quick.
No, sir, I'm sorry, your time's up.
I don't take any money as a volunteer firefighter, so that budget, there is no budget for me.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for being a volunteer. Any other citizen comments?
Hi, my name is Janet Evans. I had a couple things I wanted to talk about tonight, and Commissioner Bloodsworth, you really, really hit the nail on the head when you chose the words gut-wrenching. I'm coming to the meeting tonight with my tax bill, where Alachua County's decided that my 5-room cottage has doubled in value in the last 12 months. So what I want to say is that what you bring to the meeting tonight, the humility that you bring here, saying that you are open to learning, admitting mistakes, you're forming deeper connections with the team, with our city. That's what it's all about, is bringing that humility to the dais. And I will expand on my thoughts on that when we have the regular citizens' comments, that I think it's something that we need to see more of in our dais. And I'm quite emotional about it myself. You really hit the nail on the head. when we see that kind of humility brought here, that's when we can move forward. That's when the hurt feelings that we have in our community, feeling like we have been abused, we can go beyond that. We can move forward. We can heal when we see that kind of behavior. And I thank you. I thank you for that.
Julie Tapia Verano. Footnote on the SNAP benefits in the farmers market. I did see the story as well. An AI overview says from TV20 News, no, the High Springs Farmers Market can no longer accept SNAP EBT benefits because their USDA authorization has been withdrawn as of September. What happened is, and this is explanation, the USDA sent a letter in April 25 requesting information for the reauthorization. The High Springs Farmers Market did not provide the necessary information by a deadline. As a result, benefits were withdrawn. Just a footnote on that discussion.
Any other public comment? We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloodsworth,
Yes.
Commissioner Howe,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Grunder.
No.
Can we answer any of the questions that were asked, Mayor?
Please.
Okay. As far as the Fall Festival is a chamber-ran event. We make no profit off of that. That is ran solely by the Chamber of Commerce. The planners downtown is CRA budget. CRA is supposed to rejuvenate the CRA district. So the planners are along the lines of what CRA does for a community. And those are all the questions that I remember.
I think now's a good time to mention the SNAP.
Yep, so SNAP. So I found out about it this morning. We didn't hear anything from USDA, so we worked on it today. So the form that they're saying that we didn't turn in is when you fill it out, there's a question 12B, and you have to put on your entities on there. On the instructions, it says, if you're a government or public entity, do not fill out this page. So we didn't fill out that page. That's the page that's missing. I think it's a USDA administrative error. We called today. We are still active. We can still accept SNAP benefits. We got 30 days to rectify this, and we have a call in to the person that's in charge of it.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just, to Miss Evans' tax bill, I recommend that you call the property appraiser, the tax collector's office, because they made a huge error on mine as well, but it was an error. So before you get that's your trim notice that you're looking at. Your tax bill hasn't come yet, call them now. Okay, good.
Okay, moving on. We have no unfinished business. We will open it up for citizen requests and comments for issues not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record and limit comments to 5 minutes, please.
Julie Tapia Verano, thank you again for earlier, Mr. Mayor. That was really nice, thank you. In the good news of High Springs, I recently attended the Parks and Recreation's Advisory Board meeting as a listener. I wanted to catch their vision for the city and see what they are up to. I learned that Jen Appleby was in Orlando at a PNR, or Parks and Rec convention, soaking up some more good ideas and budget ideas as well. Truly, the Parks and Rec has many good projects in the works. One of them is all about procuring more shade trees and plantings with help from the county, and where the county will maintain these trees for up to 3 years, something that they're working on. One thing that the commission can do to help the Parks and Rec be the best around for our small city is to keep up as funding as you can. I know we're talking money today. Funding as much as you can where possible, and to increase the amount of social promotion that we have on our media outlets. I know that falls to Mr. Magnan, Mr. Kevin. And But they need our support as far as they have good things coming. They really help to add another layer to the culture of our city. But sadly, I spent half a day on Saturday near Catherine Taylor Park most of the day, and I didn't see a whole lot of use of our facilities. And that no one was outside. No one was playing kickball. No one was at a craft show or anything. No kids, no grown-ups, really no activity at all for a really beautiful day in the park. How can we create more volunteered events and pick up kickball games or a craft lesson? We just need to increase our promotion and support the volunteers who are already doing such a good job. This also would include our museums at the old school. Earlier in the summer, I visited both the Railroad Museum and the cultural rooms that are run by Mr. Brian Williams. There is so much rich history and so many treasured stories that need to be seen, and however we can do grant funding and promotion to help them would really help our city. And the best way to preserve High Springs' historic charm as we modernize amenities and systems is to learn about the treasures and the stories and the people that made us who we are today. There are so many undiscovered treasures and stories among us. Let's not let those voices be silent. Kudos to the Chamber of Commerce for their hugely successful fall festival. Many stores and vendors reported a swell in customers and sales. I would also like to thank Commissioner Whites for being there personally to help with the trash detail at the end of Sunday. There were probably many others that I did not see working behind the scenes. Let's keep a focus on our Parks and Rec needs as we also explore new boundaries for our land use and code development. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Lynch. I'd just like to remind the city manager and the commissioners that when they allow High Springs Brewing to use the High Springs name, they are contributing directly to the death of 7,000 people each day.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Linda Jones. I'll start off with adding my good wishes to Commissioner Budsworth for his information that he gave to us tonight. It started a great conversation, and I think it was wonderful. Showing your emotions is also wonderful. It's very good. Now to my issues. During citizen comments at the September 8th Commission meeting, I expressed concerns about Mayor Grunder's lack of civility during the intense meeting at the August 21st Commission meeting. While two sincere apologies were offered on the September 8th Commission meeting, the mayor's was not among them. His response was that he will not change his approach. He described himself as passionate and fired up and said he deeply cares for the citizens of High Springs and the city staff and the staff at City Hall. He will stand up for them. Let me be clear. Past and present commissioners have stood up for our citizens and city staff, many during difficult moments, but they're done so without shouting or abusive language. They care deeply too. The difference is not in commitment, but in conduct. Commissioner Howell said he had decided not to beat a dead horse, but then reread the letter from Ryan Lowry, president of the Fire Rescue Professionals of Alachua County, Local 3852. I doubt ASCR, ACFR, or their union considered this matter a dead horse. Commissioner Howell believes the issue is settled and that we should move forward. He also expressed concern that past issues keep resurfacing. But I ask, how else should citizens raise concerns they believe remain unresolved? In your line of work, Commissioner Howell, the past is essential, whether initiating a traffic stop or investigating criminal activity. For us, the past, especially recent meetings, is where we learn about the issues that matter. These concerns will continue to surface until they're addressed to our satisfaction, not yours. Take our financial situation, for example. Many residents are now engaged and want to remain involved in these decisions. I believe most commissioners, along with the manager and city staff, welcome that input. Let's not forget, you work for us, and with that comes responsibility for your actions and for the absence of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments?
Hey, Timmy Gwynn. So in regards to the miscalculated property tax assessments and being able to report it to the Alachua County property appraiser, are we able to see and track the trends of individuals that have reported that to the Alachua County property appraisers, and maybe like kind of reach out and help our citizens that we think might have been misproperly assessed in the future? I don't know if it's an availability or an option. I know that property taxes are.
I could take a look into it. I don't know how we would do that, to take a look at the individuals, see the trend, but we could reach out to property tax and see if maybe we can get a report on how many adjustments they've made.
Right.
I don't know what the mechanism
And if we
was.
could see if it was a complaint that caused the adjustment, and see
I
if we
could
could
see-
like see if there's some kind of
I could
trend
s-
in
take
neighborhood
a look into
values
that.
or assessments like that.
Yeah, I'll take a look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Janet Evans. I can speak to my tax bill. When I saw what they appraised my house at, I called them and I said, gee, how did this happen? And the woman pulled up a picture of my house. And I said, how do you justify this? This is what I paid for the house, 13 years ago. And she said, you have a nice roof on your house. And I said, my roof is 20 years old. And then she said, you don't have any windows that are broken. So I did make a trip down to the tax office, and they did reduce the value 40% on what they appraised my house at when I went down there and talked to them about stuff. So just a little tidbit on the side there as far as that goes. I want to come back to what I had said earlier about moving forward. I think that the discussion we just had was very healing for our city to move forward. Again, I think that showing humility allows us to be open to learning, to admit mistakes, and to form deeper connections with others. I want to come back to this statement that was made by Commissioner Howell just at our very last meeting, that it was time to move forward without any accountability for unprofessional behavior. I feel is unacceptable. There have been unchecked emotional behaviors that we've seen from our mayor, and it's brought embarrassment to High Springs. And his unwillingness to accept responsibility for the part he has played is unacceptable. And without that kind of humility to accept responsibility for those actions, I, as an old lady sitting in the chair, I'm having a hard time moving forward and letting that heal. This was an embarrassment for our city, and I think that when it comes to being open to learning and open to new things, we really got to look at that. And something coming now is a day late and a dollar short.
Thank you. Any other citizen requests and comments for items not on the agenda? Any commissioners want to?
Yes, sir. If I may, please, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Gwynn, I like your question very much. I can tell you that last year they made an error very much in my favor. So I boogied my butt down there to pay those property taxes, and then they came back 3 months later, said, oh, oops, sorry, you really owe a lot more. So I think that the instances of mistakes, at least personally, seems to be really growing. But I don't know how we track that here without, Mr. Marshall looking into it. But they made a huge mistake on our bill this year, and it was triple. So I can tell you that the staff down there has been super, super helpful. But the process, I definitely think we need to maybe shine a light on that. So thank you for bringing that up.
Any other commissioner response? All right, we will move on to new business. Item 1, discuss, consider, and act on resolution 2025-N.
Mr. Mayor, this is Resolution 2025-N, a resolution setting the monthly salary for the office of the City Commissioner and Mayor, providing an effective date.
Do you have any commissioner comments? This is the resolution we needed to lower our salaries moving forward.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we approve Resolution 2025-N, lowering our salaries by 25%.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments? I'll take a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bloodsworth.
Yes.
Commissioner Howell.
Yes.
Commissioner Whites.
Yes.
Mayor Grunder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Yes.
All right, moving on to new business item 2, discuss, consider, and act on the bargaining agreement with the City of High Springs and the Florida Police Benevolent Association.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Chief Antoine Shepherd, High Springs Police Department. So what you have before here is the bargaining unit contract that we negotiated with the union. We touched on only one article here, as soon as I get it for you. Article 26, which is our wages. We propose putting our personnel back into the pay grade that they should have been, and that covers most members of the organization. So I'll take any questions if you have anything. And let me also say that Mr. George Corin, PBA, would have been here tonight, but he is a little under the weather, so he sends his gratitude if there's an affirmative vote for the contract.
This will be a 3-year deal, right, Chief?
Yes, sir. It's always a 3-year deal, but we have openers each year, and we try to work collaboratively with the union to hammer out these contracts every year.
So having been on the other side of dealing with police departments, negotiating for the members, I want to say it's nice that you guys just got down to the brass tacks of it and went after the wages and what really mattered. So thank you. And we are still going to be
the lowest paid. The lowest paid
in the county.
We still are, and I'll address that in some instance. I don't want to say that they didn't get raises. Remember when I spoke about 5-6 years of agencies waiting? That's where we're at right now. We're trying to push our people up there at existing staff to at least wages that are comparable to other agencies. So it's very difficult for me to hire folks who have experience and then turn around and pay them more than our people that are inside our organization. So this is step one of two, that at first I have to get our people paid the appropriate salary within the organization. And so I can't raise up our starting salary tremendously, because when we do that, if we hit that number that we're talking about at $50,000, then I have members that have been with the agency for 2 and 3 years and they're not making the $50,000. So someone comes off the streets making the same thing. That's that salary compression. So this at least stops some of the bleeding. Like, I guess the best way of telling you is that we're stopping the bleeding, and then we'll start addressing the wound. So that's where that gets us here.
Yeah, you guys are, I think you're still going to be about Depending on what APD comes up with,
We're still
you'll be
getting
about 10 to 15,000 lower than most other places.
And that's not even in our county. You know,
Yeah.
Alachua County, it's very expensive to live and work here. This is comparable to also people like Cross City. I know they're smaller. Gilchrist County, Trenton Police Department. Those are counties where the cost of living is not as much. So that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. But thank you for getting this done.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Chief, I alluded to this before the
Yes.
meeting, but on the ballot tally here, the number of ballots cast was 17, and then it says the ballots cast for is 12, the ballots cast against is 12. So that arithmetic doesn't quite add up for me.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest in math, but you're absolutely correct. So I did reach out to the union, and that was an error. They're sending me the corrected allocation. It should have been 17 that are allowed to vote and 12 vote in the affirmative. No one voted against it.
So 0 vote against.
Correct.
17 permitted. Okay. So Chief, can you just give us a rundown? Is this a 5% raise across the board for everybody?
No, it's not a 5% across the board. It places different folks back into their allocated that they should have been in. So, you know, the last 2 years, we've not done, a lot of agencies do this. We've not put them in the right appropriate places. So they're in a step plan, and they should be, the next step, they should have went 1,000 or 2,000 right there, but we gave 5% to everybody. And so they never got to that appropriate step plan, if that makes any sense. So since they weren't in the appropriate step plan, you look at the allocations of each officer where they should have been 2-3 years, and you elevate them into the appropriate step plan. And an example of that is that I do have at least a couple officers, some of my senior officers, the salaries that they were making at $43,000 a year. They can go to our counterparts, even though they got 2 years or whatever, they can go there and probably make $10,000 more because we're not putting them in the correct allocation where they need to be. At least we can stop some of that bleeding, and that's the first process, to stop your folks from leaving your organization, and then we can work on salaries, starting salaries in the next couple of years again.
So this gets the entire mix more equitable.
Not the entire agency. So we still will be somewhat behind with about 3 to 4 members in the organization. And so the contract does allow me to find existing funds to be able to try to make do with that. I do already have some things in mind. I already have a retirement of a sergeant, so that person made pretty good amount of money and they're retiring. So I would allocate some of that money because I don't have to pay for a new sergeant at that same price. And that'll trickle down to those 3 or 4 members to get them $1,000 or more just to kind of get them into their right allocation. So we still have some members that will not be able to, or not at that level where they need to be at.
So we have you and JT, and then how many sergeants do we have?
We have 5 sergeants, 4 on patrol and 1 in our school resource.
We have a sergeant to supervise the school resource officers?
Yes, we have 2.
Is that required?
Well, from a perspective of supervisory, I think when you get into command and level, I think you want to have folks in place for those positions, or you're going to pay one way civilly or one way organizational. So yeah, it's not a requirement, but it is best practice just to have someone, if that makes any sense.
No, it doesn't to me. I'm sorry. So we've got 5 sergeants.
Correct.
So 20% of our employees are sergeants. If we have 20 officers, are you including those 5 sergeants as those 20?
Yes.
That's a pretty high number. So is it not?
It's not.
It's not. Feel free to chime in here,
please.
'cause you guys get
He's a
this
sergeant.
and I don't.
So I can tell you that I am in school resource now, and my span of control is considered incredibly too high. I have a span of control of 9 individuals over
Over
8
how many
schools.
8 schools?
And that is incredibly too high. It should be 1 to 5 at most in the police department world. Unfortunately, though, we don't all get to be there.
Right.
You definitely want a supervisor. The problem you run into with schools is as we entered into that contract, you are state mandated to have somebody into the school no matter what. So if somebody calls out, you need to have what would be a float person.
Right.
Chief, you don't have a float person.
I have a float person only based on having 2 officers at the school.
Okay.
And so, and our school have to be covered. So when we ran through the summertime for the summer program, we had people out, and guess who was your school resource officer that day? Chief Shepard. So
Yeah, you got to pull people out of where they are so the supervisor can now fill in.
So that sergeant could backfill that.
Correct. And I don't want to, he would know very well. The school is a very important element with everything, the perspective of safety assessments, all the different initiatives that you have to do by the state. That is not something the patrol sergeant should be responsible or knowing, and it's a rotating sergeant. So you got to have somebody there that's advocating and doing things of that nature. And so, and also our school resource sergeant, that didn't cost us anything. That's when one of our officers or one of our higher paid officers left and left Officer Presnell, and we reallocated those funds back to that area. So it didn't cost us anything.
Okay. So what you're saying, Mr. Mayor, is that you're required to have 1 to 5, or it's a recommended 1 to 5.
It's recommended 1
and
to
we've
5.
got 1 to 3, or 1 to 2 if it's just the schools. Is that the number of
We
schools?
have, what, 3 in the schools?
Correct.
We've got 2 here and 1 at FCA. Now, can if the SRO at FCA is out, that same sergeant can go there as well?
Correct. And then if you were proposing no sergeant at the school, then you would have a patrol officer who's responsible for that 1 to 5 plus number.
Mm-hmm. So those are still pretty good odds, though, right? Better than what the mayor's dealing with.
Correct. There are.
Okay.
Yeah. What is Floyd
1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to 5.
1 to 5? And then ASO's got 3 sergeants running their school resource.
Mm-hmm.
And they deal with about the same that we deal with. About the same.
I can tell you it runs a lot better with a sergeant. When I took over the school in 2015, it was myself and another officer, and it was just us two. Our supervisor wasn't in the school, and that's a big problem.
It is a big problem, and we took it from you guys and what you guys place over in Alachua. You know, me as a chief, I have to look at everything from an organizational perspective, what is best practices, because when it comes back, it comes back on the chief. So when we look at, do we pick a patrol sergeant and who doesn't have the knowledge of the school, and something goes down, that comes back on us. So that's why I say we pay one way or the other. You know, I think I'm always going to push to say supervisors in other areas. I think when if we ever expand in our criminal investigation division, you know what we should have? We should have a detective sergeant there. That's someone that's over that division.
Thank you, Chief.
Absolutely. Take any more questions?
So, Chief, we're just clarifying. So, you got the step plan. Your people are already on their step, and we're moving them to the next, or we're now going to put them back in the step where they should be?
We're putting them back in the step they should be. So there's no.
Correct.
It's not something that they should have been in these steps.
Correct.
A few years ago.
Okay.
Any other commissioner comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the contract.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Thank you, Chief.
Absolutely. I'm back up here again. So
Oh, yeah. New business item 3, discuss, consider, and act on accepting the annual red speed enforcement report.
So good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Again, Antoine Shepard, High Springs Police Department. So I'm pleased to present the annual school resource enforcement report for the City of High Springs. This report covers our automatic school zone speed enforcement program during our most recent years. So the program performance, it's been fully operational on school days with children arriving and departing campuses. I want to be very clear, it's 30 minutes before school, 30 minutes after school, and while school is in session. So that's like 7 a.m. to 2:44 p.m. to that where the sign is there. And so last year there was 2,669 citations that were issued during this reporting period. So the traffic studies show that we've had a 99% reduction in vehicles exceeding the speed threshold since implementation of the program. And so I want to break down the citations. And this report is required, by the way. This report is required annually by statute, so that's why I'm here today. The first initial citation that a lot of our motorists would get is the NOV. That's the notice of violation. So of those 2,669 citations, 2,300 were resolved. They were resolved by payment or administratively dismissed. Of the, there were 5 cases that were contested here in this chamber with your special magistrate. And so 5 were contested. 1 was dismissed, and the other one was upheld, with a few of them paying prior to the proceedings, okay? If you didn't pay your NOV, it becomes a UTC. That becomes a Uniform Traffic Citation. So of that number, 250 cases were advanced to the UTC status, which again, that means you didn't address it during the NOV part. You didn't pay your fine, and it sat there for several months. About 20 cases were contested. I don't have all the outcomes of them because that's through the clerk of the court. It's hard for me to track that, but some of them were dismissed and some of them were upheld. I want to go over the community impact of these this program. We are now seeing that motorists are overwhelmingly complying with school speed zone laws. The program has proven to be a very important tool for protecting our children, our families traveling to and from the school. We've seen, again, reducing dangerous driving behavior in the school zone, and it has supported broader public safety initiatives. Let's go over to funding. So funds that are collected, they are used by statute only for public safety equipment or crossing guard payment or retention recruitment, okay? In summary, the school zone enforcement program, it's fulfilling its intended purpose. It really is. It's enhancing traffic safety. It is reducing violations. It is protecting our students, parents, and staff across our community. I'm already seeing a noticeable decline in violations starting this year, which is also a noticeable decline in revenue for that offense, and I'm happy with that. I know, So if you have any questions, I provided that report to you, and I'll be more than glad to answer anybody's questions.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, do you mind?
Please.
Chief, can we use these cameras anywhere else in the town? Does it strictly have to
Zero.
be in school zones?
Zero. Statute, it's for statute, and you can't just throw them up. You have to have a traffic safety issue. So a lot of people are like, oh, the back of the school, I know we have some issues in the back of the school, and we're trying to address that through these funds. But no, you cannot. They can only be in school zones. They can only be in a school zone that needs it. Other agencies are looking at it. Gainesville Police Department is looking, and I think we were just ahead. We were the trailblazers in putting this forth, because I believe we're only the second in the state. At least that's what we're told, that move forth with this initiative. And so
I'd sure like to see one out on 190,000. I can tell you that.
I love to as well.
That is High Springs drag strip.
Maybe we can kind of get our legislators to push for more initiatives like this.
Not that I really want to have to do that.
Correct.
But I know you guys have tried.
Correct.
To handle that out there.
Well, it's exciting news when you see something, you put something in place, and it's actually very effective, because from a law enforcement perspective, these guys and me, you go out there and you look at the same. I look at the same stop sign at 222nd and 174th, where Mr. Tillman lives. I've been working that stop sign for 20-some years. I remember it. So, and it's still a very active stop sign that people do not run, and you don't know how much traffic we go out there and we do. So this right here really changes behaviors of drivers, because people start to understand there's a camera there. People start to talk and say, hey, there's a camera there. And they start to change that behavior and how they're driving. And so I've noticed when I even pass by, I'm like, oh, camera there, let me slow down.
Well, that's
So
what
it
I'm
just-
getting
it
at.
just
That
conscious you.
camera may
Yeah, I'm not even speeding. So
change the driving habit.
it does, it changes.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Is there a reason why we don't have a school zone in front of First Christian?
Yes.
Because there is.
Yeah, so we visited that, myself and Mrs. Parter. I cannot remember everything, but we got FDOT involved. And so there was some topic in terms of what FDOT requires in terms of pedestrian traffic, that there's not any pedestrian traffic that is crossing that school. They don't they have drop off in vehicles. But we did try to look at that. You know, you have the school zone on the backside, but not on the 441 side. We had visited that conversation before.
So on the backside, when I assume you're talking about the south side of the campus.
Correct.
Would that be an eligible location for this kind of speed zone enforcement? If we couldn't do it on 441?
I don't think it's going to qualify.
No, still.
I think that you're looking at traffic volume and whether you have an excessive speeding problem there. And I don't think you have a speeding problem in there because you got to, it's pretty congested and piled up there. So,
yeah.
It's not very much movement there,
Yeah.
which we've been talking with them and trying to address that as well with some different things.
Okay, thank you.
I did have one quick question. The ongoing maintenance cost of the cameras falls on who?
Not us.
Okay.
This camera system costs us $0.
Okay, because the only reason why I asked, because if we're decreasing in citations, is it going to keep benefiting us in the long run? Like 20 years from now, if we only making 5 citations a year, now is it actually worth having cameras?
Correct.
Or would it be better to actually have an officer there citing them?
This is a prime example of, so as Chief said, we're noticing a decrease in it. So we're going to notice a decrease in the red speed camera. That's a decrease in revenue that we want because the cameras are doing their job. The job is not to raise money for the city. The job is to get people to slow down in the school zone. So theoretically, what would make me extremely happy is that we have $0 in that line budget because everybody's following the law. It's just not the way it is right now, but we're getting closer.
Absolutely. And to add on, so yeah, it costs us $0. We would look at this. I think it's like a 3 to 5 year. I would look at this and say, do we still need cameras into the school zone? And that would come back before the commission and us for a recommendation. I know you say putting an officer there in the school zone because a lot of people have said that. We have officers there all the time. We have them with lights on. They're still speeding through. The most effective enforcement has been this because an officer can sit there, stop 1 or 2 people, takes us time. We only got 2. But we got 100% of the folks that came through here. And I can tell you at the beginning of this, it has been somewhat controversy behind it because a camera is non-biased. It doesn't care what your last name is. It doesn't care what your color of your skin is. And so that camera is catching a number of people that probably wouldn't have gotten that same citation sometimes. Because, sometimes people have those implicit bias. I would say mine, the little old lady, it's hard for me to write her tickets. It's hard for me to write that citation. But the camera doesn't care about that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I would say the decrease for me is a big part. Just the school zones for Alachua Elementary and Mabane and Alachua. It's.
Oh yeah.
I think we're about ready for ours to go in.
Good.
So
good deal. Absolutely.
I know Gainesville's getting them.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Chief, I just want to say, with respect to all of this, David Gardner does an amazing job.
Yes, he does.
Down there on 441. Every time I've seen him when he's out there, he's not just standing there with his stop sign. He's talking to the kids. He's making their day.
Yes, he does.
And, that kind of difference maker that the school board forced us to do when they changed their perimeter to 2 miles.
It did.
Just what a joy.
Absolutely.
It is to see him out there.
Yes, and he asked me last year, he said, do I have to reapply for my job?
Oh,
oh no, you don't. Oh, no.
Oh, God, no. Please, God, don't go anywhere.
No.
Lord, no. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the information from the red speed cameras.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments?
George Tatum, a citizen. I have a question in regards to the areas and such. As an insurance adjuster, I'm on the road all the time, and particularly I go up on the 121 up by McClenny, and that's a state road, and they have required delineation and marking that this is a school zone. You gotta slow down the yellow lights and stuff like that. Why can't we do that out in front of High Springs or the church?
FCA?
Yeah, FCA, I'm sorry. My wife used to be a board member there, so I should remember this. But why can't we do that out there? If they're doing it on 121, which is a state road with a brand-new school, that there is literally 0 foot traffic, why are we not able to do that same system here? Why isn't DOT allowing us to do that? And then the second thing is the roads. Our biggest problem, and the police department has just put in a temporary their sign that says, "Hey, slow down. I'm off 160th place." I hate speed tables. I hate speed bumps, but I'm at the point to where I'm ready to go to our individual community and say, we need to do something. And some of our biggest offenders, sorry, Mr. Bloodworth, UPS, FedEx, and the trash service, particularly the guys that are picking up the yard waste, because a lot of folks are not putting out yard waste, so they're flying in and flying out because they know that they don't have to stop. So again, I appreciate the police department putting that out there, but there's some of our streets. I have my grandchildren over. I don't take them out on the road to ride their bicycles or do anything with them anymore because of the situation of being able to safely know that I don't, have to deal with it. So thank you.
I'd recommend for the Waste Pro, reaching out to city staff. They can get you in touch with the supervisor there. They do not like it whenever they're.
Yeah, and Mr. Bloodworth, I'm sorry, I was going to send you some email on regards to my previous comments about the trash and stuff like that. I've got over several weeks to where they're picking up primarily the recycling, and then because they're either not putting it into the back of the truck, they're not cleaning out their bin where they've dumped the items in there, and they're strewing it down the street. So now you've got an issue to where on my street, we're one way in, one way out. A lot of us will walk the street and pick stuff up, but it's ridiculous that we're having
Yeah, you
to
shouldn't have to do that. You guys take pictures and
I
whatnot?
do have some pictures, and I will get them. I will get them sent to you. I've been dealing with my mother's estate, so I've been out of the state and stuff like that. But I will get them to you.
Yeah, or get them to Angela or just somebody from city staff. That way they can reach out.
Yeah.
That way we can get it fixed for you.
So I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
The answer is 2 questions. I don't recollect all the specificity of the FDOT, but I'll go back and revisit. It was a couple years ago. Myself and Mrs. Parter reached out to FDOT to look at a school zone there on 441. We were told no, so I can reach back out to that. And then I'm getting over the second question. Had to do with speed tables. So we usually jointly, myself and Public Works, look at an area to see if it's a speed study that needs to be done there to see if it's applicable for speed tables. I would not recommend speed tables on all your roads. That's just I know we have them there at the school because that's a precious area, but that you continuously put a bunch of speed tables, then that does impede emergency services. So I would say you should only put them where applicable locations should be. It's equivalent to other areas where some citizens have advocated for a bunch of stop signs where people stop and go. So.
Hey, Chief, Mr. Mayor, one more question. I saw the sign the other day, and I don't know why I haven't paid attention to it. You can't turn right, you can't turn left during school hours. The DOT just recently put that out. Did I miss that or something?
That was our agency.
Okay.
So it's a city street, and so what we did is we did a little bit of a speed study to look at. We've been dealing with the traffic compiling up. They're at FCA when they're pulling out. They've changed their traffic pattern. They're doing some different things.
Right, yeah.
So that tries to help us out in terms of them not sitting there holding traffic and making a left stop sign or left stop turn. We've had some type of enforcement we've been trying to push in there. We've had a broader conversation with FCA about what they can do overall. And so there's some conversation about that.
Like giving information to parents to make sure that they're doing that?
We had them distribute an email because our violators are obviously the parents. They're at the school, so that's who we really need to be concentrating on. If you can't make that left turn, make a right, or if you go back out on what used to be 9th Street, go back the other way, find some different.
Well, if there's something I can help you with that, I'm on the committee there. I can probably try to help out with that.
FCA is doing some expansion, I think, and so they want to go with the master plan of how they can circulate traffic. But Right now, they're at a standstill because you only can get so many cars out from that turn. And so if you only got 3 or 4 spots, that's what we looked at. And that right-hand turn or that turn there is going to help you a little bit, but not everywhere. There needs to be a broader plan. So.
Thank you, Chief. Any other citizen comments?
Y'all beat me up tonight.
Rick Testa, I live here in High Springs. I just wanted to make a comment on the annual speed enforcement report and the cameras. If you all remember, I don't know if you were all here, but I brought in a citation about a year ago and testing the cameras. I did that voluntarily for you. And you remember the picture was clear. It's been about a year now, and I just want to let you know I haven't had any more pictures taken. So it's working. Only problem, Chief, is now on Sunday mornings when I go down 326, people are honking their horn at me because I'm going 20 miles an hour. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, would you mind us taking a little pause for just a few minutes?
I don't mind at all. Let's take
Okay.
a 5-minute
Yeah.
recess.
Thank you, sir.
and we'll move on to new business item 4, discuss, consider, and act on the local government comprehensive planning services agreement between the City of High Springs and the North Central Florida Regional Planning Council.
Mr. Mayor, Angela's making eyes at me, so I figure I'll run through this one. This is just your standard renewal contract with North Central Florida Regional Planning Council. As a reminder, they provide all of your ordinances and resolutions for your planning. Anytime you do a site plan approval, plat approval, things to that nature, they've gone through the checklist associated with your code and rendered an opinion to staff as to whether it should be approved, it needs to go back for works. And then, like I said, they do all that drafting. So I think they're at $10,000 this year for you all. Not any change to my knowledge, and I'd posit to you all too that paying a AICP planner would probably be much more expensive.
Much more. Well, do we have any commissioner comments?
I make a motion that we approve the local government planning service agreement.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Moving on to new business item 5, discuss, consider, and act on resolution number 2025-P.
Mr. Mayor, this is Resolution 2025-P, a resolution of the City Commission of High Springs, Florida, designating the city manager as the administrative authority to receive, review, and process final plat and replat submittals, designating the city manager as the responsible administrative official for approving with conditions, or denying the proposal, final plat or replat. Mr. Mayor, this has not been a popular resolution in any of my cities. It is required by state statute. Senate Bill 784 went into effect, and it essentially says, it doesn't say the city may designate an administrative authority to approve final plats and replats. It says the city shall. So it hasn't been a fun conversation to have. I can tell you that I think that there is going to be litigation that arises out of it, of cities saying that this is an overreach of home rule. For the time being, though, unfortunately, I have to advise you to comply with state statute. So I have prepared a resolution designating your city manager to be that individual to receive, review, and approve final plats and replats. So keep in mind that your initial plats and things of that nature are still going to come to you all. The whole idea is that you've given your input at the initial, right? You've given your comments, you've said, here's what's wrong, here's what we don't like. Theoretically, if a developer is coming in and they're complying with what you all talk about, your final plat approval really should just be a checkoff of making sure that they've complied with the instruction that you all have provided. I think that's the legislature's thought process on this. It's to prevent folks from not having to wait for commission meetings. I know in some of my cities right now, we're having a really tough time getting quorums in planning and zoning boards. So you end up with a developer who's they've done everything that they've been asked to do, and they can't get a P&Z meeting set. So I'm really positing ideas to you. Obviously, I have no idea why the legislature has chosen to do this, but I can tell you it's very unpopular, but I'm just running with state statute. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer it, but my hands are mostly tied on this one.
Mr. Mayor, if I could bring this one home to us and just take me through Bridlewood. They came to us for rezoning, for an increased density, completely independent of what we're talking about here.
Correct.
So long before you get to the final plat stage,
Correct.
there's a lot of conversation that happens.
Yes.
And that this final little bow tie is really administrative.
When you think about the entire process of someone purchasing a piece of land that is zoned commercial, and they've decided that they're going to put a subdivision in. To your point, they have to go through so many hoops. We've got to get it rezoned. We've got to make sure that it's compatible land use with everything surrounding it. We've got to go through initial plat approval, which is they're coming to you all and they're saying, here's what we're thinking. There's developers agreements. I mean, all of those things are still going to come in front of you all and give you the reins, by and large, on these developments. It's theoretically, I say theoretically because you never know, it is theoretically that the last step of the process, the legislature is forcing us to make it administrative. Mm-hmm. So I actually just was asked that question in Newberry the other day of, okay, well, what about initial? No, initial still is going to come to you all. Mm-hmm. The way that I read the statute, I might be wrong, my reading of the statute, my office's reading of the statute, is it's just the final plat approval that you all are letting loose of.
When it says you shall, there's really not much you can do.
Yeah, it does make it tough as a city attorney to provide you any wiggle room there.
Any other Commissioner comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we accept Resolution 2025-P.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Howell?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Mayor Grinder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Bloodsworth?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to new business, item 6, discuss, consider, and act on ordinance 2025-06.
Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, quote, alcoholic beverages, end quote, of the City of High Springs Code of Ordinances, providing for restrictions on 500-foot requirements related to churches to apply only to church-owned property, providing for waiver of such requirement upon application with waivers from affected churches, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and providing for codification. Mr. Mayor, this is in connection to the discussion that we've had now, I guess, probably a couple months running, about there are restaurants who currently occupy within that 500-foot radius of a church, for example, that is leasing the property. They're not a permanent fixture. We're talking about wanting to provide an exemption for them. So that's going to be the first part of that edit. And then the second part of the edit says that the restriction in general, that 500-foot rule, can be waived by you all upon application of a business selling alcoholic beverages in the event that they've received consents or waivers or however we want to denote them. That's an administrative thing that Angela, Jeremy, and I can work through. That the church says, hey, you know, we actually don't care if they sell alcohol. So we're here for first read tonight, but that being said, this is something that's been a living, breathing thing. So, I mean, changes that want to be made, I want this to be exactly what you all want it to be. But I did want to get pen to paper in front of you for feedback. If you like it, great, we'll move on to second read. If you hate it and you want to change it, I'll bring it back for first read.
Commissioner comments?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, please, Danielle, I really like the simplicity of this. I mean, you sent us other
trying.
ordinances from other cities, and there was a lot more complex series of events and potential. So this basically, if you don't own the property, you can't impose that restriction. If you do own the property, somebody can come to you and you can say, no big deal.
And it still comes back to you all. That was
Yeah.
important to me, that it's you're not delegating your authority
Right.
to waive this requirement to anybody else.
Right.
So it still comes to you all, because I know that was something that I had talked with a few of you about, of we still want it to come here for the decision making.
I appreciate this verbiage. I like exactly the way you put it.
So Danielle.
Yes, sir.
On this application, or whatever we want to call it at the time, if the church doesn't agree to it, is it still going to come back to us and us overrule that, or are we opening the door for that?
Sure, I take your point. I would say that your hands are tied the way that this is written. I don't think that you all can consider an application that isn't accompanied by a waiver the way that I have this written right now. I wouldn't advise you to. That would certainly not be my
Well, I guess that's
recommendation.
where I'm going with this.
Sure.
If we're going to go this route, are we going to give somebody the way of appealing whatever decision the church says yay or nay? Or I guess in this instance, it would be they would say no, and then it comes back to us, and then they would have the opportunity to appeal it. But we're not wanting to go to that route to open up serious issues from there, are we?
I don't think so, and here's why. I'm going to direct you to that second sentence. It's an if clause, so you've got your condition precedent is in there. So you can waive upon application if the applicant procures a written waiver from the churches. I don't think you have any authority to waive the requirement if that waiver isn't produced the way that this is written right now, because you've given yourselves authority, but only in a select circumstance when this type of evidence has been produced. So I take your point. I think you're safe. If you'd like me to bring it back with something meatier, I can also do that.
Well, I think what you're trying to make is simple.
I am.
And I like that, and that's why I'm saying I don't want to open the door that
Sure.
we have to go through controversy, because we're trying to make this as simple and easy as it can for everybody.
I think you're protected by that if clause. If it's the will of the commission, I can bring back something a little different, whatever you all want me to do. But I do think, to your point, I think you're protected by that if clause.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just in terms of us sliding the Overton window over just a little bit here, this opens up the possibility, for some potential.
Sure.
And I like the fact that the churches are still part of that conversation. That's important to me. If they're a property owner, that's important, so I like the way it's presented.
So how would they go about getting it from the church? Would they need, is it going to be board approved? Would it be, who makes the say so that they could do that?
So I guess
what about somebody bring your application and it's just somebody that goes to the church?
A parishioner has signed it. It's an excellent question. Candidly, I don't know enough about the structures of the churches in town to know how they're governed. I would imagine that, and it's something that we can do administratively on a form of you're asserting under oath that you have the authority to bind the church. That may just be the simplest way to do it, is say, you can sign this, but you've committed perjury if you don't have the ability to bind the church. I think that's an excellent point, and I think it can be something that is added to this waiver that helps us avoid that circumstance where Joe down the street has signed this. It's like when you turned your homework in and you got an F and your buddy signed it so that you didn't have to show it to your dad,
Because I just didn't want us in trouble, because I know some churches, they have a board and they vote their pastor in.
Sure.
But if that pastor was to approve and he's fired next year and that church says, we didn't want that, he just did that, you're going to...
You bring up a good question also. What, are we going to allow a church to change their mind once this application goes in? Say if another pastor is hired and they have a different mindset, once it's in, are we going to have...
I don't think you've got the ability
It's done,
to
right?
turn back the
It's
clock, because
done.
at that point you're depriving a property owner
Yes.
of rights that you've conveyed to them.
That's right.
And now to say, oh, actually you can't be a bar anymore, or you can't be a restaurant that serves alcohol anymore, I think you start to run the risk of a lawsuit and a losing lawsuit, candidly.
Well, being on one of those committees of the process of hiring a pastor and all that, is it something we should get notarized by the pastor and the bar owner, or whatever we want to call it?
Any additional, I'm never going to say no to stuff like that, right? Any additional, you want to throw some witness lines on there, you're really speaking my language
Yeah, I think
now.
it should be, because, even though a pastor is a CEO of his church, he's to run and be physically responsible for budgeting as well as we are up here. He's got a lot on his shoulders too, but there needs to be somebody also making sure that that is done properly and an oversight. So, yes, some sort of witnesses.
Sure, we could do witnesses and two witnesses in a notary block, similar to signing a will type deal. Those are, and and given that we're kind of talking about this, and normally it would be something that we would just handle administratively, it may be fruitful to bring the waiver back in front of you all, for you all to approve it. And so then when you have folks coming to you and asking you, how does this work? Who's going to sign it? How do they know it's not just the neighbor? You can say that you saw it, you approved it, you assisted with it. So if it's fine with you all, at second read, I can bring back a waiver as well, such that this isn't going into effect absent a waiver existing. If that works for you all, I'd be happy to do that.
That answers my question without asking it. So we don't have to have that on first read, though?
No,
Okay.
because it's an administrative document,
Okay.
That's just something that would be used internally. I say internally, but obviously some external element to it. But it doesn't change the ordinance at all.
Okay.
So you don't have to go back to first read or anything to that nature.
Danielle, with including the churches in the decision process, are we intermingling church and state too much, or?
Not when you, here's the easy way to think, and it's hard because we're talking about churches, right? So it's so hard to separate what we're talking about from religion. But really what we're talking about is property owners. You know, it would be the same with a school. It's a little different with schools because state statute preempts you on a lot of your distance requirements for alcoholic beverages. But if you'll suspend disbelief for a minute and bear with me, if we were talking about schools, it would be the same thing of, you know, okay, well, a school can say that the bar can be within the 500 feet. We don't care. We're not worried about our little kids going over there. It's not any different. It's tough that because we're talking about churches, it's hard not to think that we're having any relation here, but we're really not. It's a right that we have acknowledged and established in our code as something that people in High Springs care about, of not wanting alcoholic establishments within X number of feet of a church. And that's just, it's super common. It's not uncommon at all. All we're doing is giving property owners a way, I hate to say out, but it's the only word I can think of off the top of my head. We're giving property owners a way to exist, not in such a rigid, confined structure if you're within these feet of a church that just doesn't care. So I take your point. It's very hard to think that we're not intermingling church and state, but you have to think about them as they're property owners.
Perfect.
Any other commissioner comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-06 with the revisions as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments? We'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Whites?
Yes.
Mayor Grunder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Bloodsworth?
Yes.
Commissioner Howell?
Yes.
Moving on to new business, item 7. Discuss, consider, and act on resolution number 2025-Q.
Mr. Mayor, this is resolution number 2025-Q, a resolution of the City of High Springs, Florida, approving that certain agreement between the city and Swamp Bots Incorporated for lease of premises, making certain findings of fact in support of the city authorizing said agreement, recognizing the authority of the city manager to execute and bind the city to said agreement, directing the mayor to execute and bind the city to said agreement, repealing all prior resolutions in conflict, and providing for an effective date. Mr. Mayor, this is the lease agreement following I believe it was 2 meetings ago now that you all had Swamp Bots in here and you were discussing the lease of the Santa Fe room and the Post Springs room. We've delegated in the rental term, I want to bring your attention to that, is that we have assigned a cost to each room. So that in the event that there's ever any question, it's not, I believe it's $6,000. It's not $6,000 for the joint, it's $3,000 for each, and that's what they're paying. The term is an initial 12-month calendar year. I've allowed, I say allowed, I've created a way in which you all have the ability to allow it to automatically renew from year to year so that it doesn't need to come back in front of you. Unless, of course, in the event that you all decide in, what would it be, late August, early September of next year, you're not happy with the rent structure, things to that nature, you can, of course, come back and terminate and renegotiate.
Any commissioner comments?
My only question is, say damage is done to the room like previous, who's responsible for that?
I'm sorry, did you say previous?
Yes.
Like, we're worried that they're, like, right now, there are,
No, now they didn't do it.
Oh.
Another organization did it.
before they got into the room. So we're concerned that right now, which one is the new room? I'm sorry. So I can just ask you directly. Santa Fe is the new one, so Santa Fe is the one that we're concerned there's damage in it?
No, we're saying an organization that rented from us
Right.
damaged it.
Okay.
And there was no repairs done. In this case, if Swamp Bots damages the Santa Fe room, who's responsible?
So it's them, and I'm going to direct you to paragraph 7. I believe it's the third sentence. However, should any damage occur to any portion of the buildings by any reason of the negligence of the lessee, its agents, servants, customers, or employees, such damage shall be promptly repaired by the lessee at its expense. So it would be on them, and we do have a contract clause in there that specifically puts it on them. So we would, in the event, to your point, let's say they say, well, we broke a window and we're not going to pay for it, you could sue under contract, breach of contract.
I think it's extremely well done.
Thank you.
you. Any other commissioner comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we accept resolution number 2025-Q.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any citizen comments? Angela, will you hit me with a roll call, please? Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloodsworth,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Perfect. Moving on to city attorney report and update.
Very brief from me tonight, Mr. Mayor. I'd like you'll get official invitations, but December 4th is when we're holding our annual ethics presentation this year. We would love to have you. I promise we'll feed you, and we will try our best not to bore you to death.
When was that date again?
December 4th.
Let's put it here.
My favorite part of the year.
And we try to start early. I think we're starting right around 4 p.m. like normal this year. I know that it bleeds into your work days, and I apologize for that. The goal is just to get you guys out of there before 9 o'clock so that when you're driving back all the way here, you're safe. And I think that's it from me. I can't think of, Jeremy and I are working on a number of projects right now. I'm working with Chief Shepherd, God love him, he puts up with me, on a couple of different projects. So looking forward to bringing those in front of you all.
Thank you. Mr. Manager? All right. Commissioner Howell?
Yes, sir. There's been a lot of talk about the last couple meetings and the word humility, and I wanted to thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was a couple citizens that came out at the last meeting and spoke about a young lady who you didn't acknowledge. And to me, I don't think there was anybody else up here on this commission that knew somebody was here for the first special presentation. And after you learned of such, you reached out to that lady and had her come back, and I really appreciate that. So I hope that was just a miscommunication and not some cheap campaign trick, so that we can continue to move forward in a positive direction. So yes, Mr. Bloodsworth, you said a lot of things that a lot of us were thinking. I truly appreciate your presentation tonight. It is very difficult, and I know a lot of us don't agree on certain things, but I think that alone was very much agreed upon up here, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a couple of things, Mr. Mayor. I am unable to attend Thursday night's North Florida Council meeting. I'm sure you're well aware they sent out an attendance record, and I have missed many a meeting because they have their same meetings
Right.
on ours.
Yeah.
Christy is our representative, but she's a non-voting member. It was kind of a rude letter they sent me that said I could be removed by the governor. How else am I supposed to do this? And if you want to do something different with that, you're welcome to it. But I have a previous engagement that was already on my calendar for Thursday night, so I cannot make that. I sent an email to Mr. Coons letting him know that today, but I wanted you to be aware of it also, and you as well, Mr. Manager, because I know you get that same letter, because I saw that. And then also, I want to thank Sergeant Dustin Shank. He came and spoke to the Boy Scouts and helped teach the law merit badge that we're working on right now on September the 9th. So, Chief Shepherd, I thank you for allowing him to come help us out with that. So we have also, and that's coming up in the future, we have our last Eagle Scout that earned it.
Wow, good for him.
So he's involved in baseball right now, so whenever that gets over, we'll try to recognize him.
That's fantastic.
Thank you for the comments as well.
I just got a couple comments. Commissioner Bloodsworth, thank you, sincerely. I know it's hard. It's a lot harder to be up here speaking publicly than people realize, and to wear your heart on your sleeve and do all of the research that you did. And Diane tirelessly working with you, no doubt. We appreciate that very much. I want to thank the Chamber for the Fall Festival. It was a fabulous event. The weather was certainly a big part of bringing people out. It was beautiful. But it was also an amazing day for our downtown businesses. I walk into the businesses when we have these events, and I know at least one business had a record-breaking sales day, not just for the year, but since they've been open. So it was just a phenomenal success, and my thanks again to Lanier Smith for the amazing trash can design that he came up with. It's wonderful. And I talked to Danielle a little bit about this. Mr. Walker is going to be the interim attorney for the city of Alachua, and I had a concern in terms of how that impacted us in terms of conflict of interest with our affected party status letters, and Danielle indicated that they would be required, the city of Alachua would be required to hire somebody separate.
That's if there is a conflict. Right now, we're still establishing whether there even is a conflict. Conflicts are case by case, right? So it's not, I mean, you guys know we represent 7 other cities, a lot of which you all interact with on a pretty regular basis, and it never creates a conflict. So we're still evaluating candidly whether there even is a conflict on the issue. I know the county's heavily involved, and the affected party status, the other thing I'll flag for you too, is when you think about having quasi-judicial meetings here, it would be the same in Alachua. They will, or if they don't already, run it the same way that you all do, of folks come up and they testify and they're providing competent, substantial evidence. And that's what you all are basing your opinions on. Attorney testimony is not competent, substantial evidence. So there's no world in which I'm standing in front of the city of Alachua on behalf of the city of High Springs testifying, because my word doesn't mean anything. It would be, for example, if you had a hearing and High Springs went as a third party, it would be your city manager, Christy, maybe, you know, Diane. I can't think of an example that Diane might be involved, so I'm sorry, Diane. Diane's like, oh no. But it would be your staff that have qualified, professional opinions that are admissible as testimony. So right now with Tara, because I think it was Tara is the one that we, I don't know that it creates a conflict, because there's no world in which I'm testifying, because I can't. It doesn't do any good. They can't consider what I have to say. So that's something that we'll evaluate on a case-by-case basis. In the event that they need conflict counsel, we will advise them to get conflict counsel.
But they would be the one footing that bill and not us.
For themselves.
So that's a good thing.
Well, and that's what I mean, is that because there is not a world in which I'm there testifying, there isn't a conflict on our side of things.
Okay.
Because I'm not testifying. So, you know, in the event that we come across something that does create a conflict, you all, I promise, will be the first to know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it. And I sent a request to Mr. Marshall this morning for some total nitrogen numbers at the infiltrated wetlands, and those wetlands are doing a very nice job polishing our nitrogen. I mean, the numbers kind of go up and down some, but some of the numbers that we're seeing are way lower than they expected. So the design has been successful, and it's really nice. And from what I hear, there's a lot of wild ducks out there, and there's a whole lot of plant life. So it's a really beautiful place that, well, you can't just go visit. It's at the wastewater treatment plant, but it's been really effective. And on a personal day job note, I want to thank Chief Peters. He came out to my day job on Friday, and he taught all of us about CPR and first aid and how to save the baby and what to do in terms of breathing, and he did a phenomenal job. I even have a picture. I didn't give it to Kevin or anything, but he did a great job, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Our employee of the week this week is Mike G. in Public Works. He is the admin assistant. He has really helped the workflow in the Public Works admin side. My only thing is, Danielle, would you like to give the update about the Canoe Outpost?
About Canoe Outpost. I spoke with Sylvia Torres, who is the county attorney, obviously for Alachua County, and let me back up. The consensus amongst the attorneys I talked to in our office, externally, because I've kind of run this by everybody, because wild spaces, public places is kind of a good place to get yourself in trouble. The consensus is that your Wild Spaces Public Places portion of the purchase needs to go back in the Wild Spaces Public Places bucket. Anything that you get for the property above and beyond what you paid for it is obviously going to be your capital gains, for lack of, a less technical term. Your capital gains you can basically attribute proportionally to each contributor. If you like basic fractions, if we say it sells for 100,000 and that's not going to be a good number. If we sell it for 110 and we bought it for 10, you've got $100,000 in gain. If it was 3 people and everybody contributed equally, your $33,000 is going to be attributed to each donor, if you will, for purchase. So you would attribute the appreciation associated with Wild Spaces Public Places and put that into the Wild Spaces Public Places bucket. However, as you guys know, we had 2 other fund sources for purchasing that. So the appreciation attributable to those 2 are not going to be forced into the Wild Spaces Public Places bucket. Now, my discussion with Sylvia Torres was the best thing that we can do when it comes time to sell this property is to go in front of that. I think it's a committee they have that governs Wild Spaces Public Places. It's an oversight committee of sorts. And to tell them, we're selling it, here's what we're selling it for, because it's always better to ask for permission as opposed to forgiveness. So if we say this is what we're going to do, it gives them the opportunity ahead of time to say, no, we don't agree and here's why. Do I anticipate the no, we don't agree and here's why? No, I don't. I think that everyone's kind of on the same page about how the appreciation is going to work. So that was my update from my discussion with the county on that piece of property. So the appreciation in total is not going to be relegated to Wild Spaces Public Places.
And I did get an email, and I didn't know how to respond to this email. Someone asked, how could somebody privately donate to the Canoe Outpost and nobody, that's not public records? Because I know that was mentioned that we had a private
that it was a
donor.
private donation. I'd have to go back and look at how that all came to be honest with you, because I wasn't sitting here when that private donation came in. And I don't even know that Diane was sitting here when that private donation came in. So we'd have, because it's a good point. How do funds come in with no name associated with it? I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I can report back though. I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bloodsworth, that took a lot of fortitude and a lot of courage. Thank you. Commissioner Howell, thank you for the kind words. Thank all the citizens for coming out, and I appreciate y'all. It's been a tough couple weeks in this country and in this town, and like I said last time, kiss your babies, love your family. That's what's really important.